Hi you guys, I'm Steelianos and welcome to a new tutorial lesson. This week I'm going to show you how to play Hallelujah by Mateus Asato. As most of you might have seen, Mateus played a very nice version, doing his own thing on the classic song that I first learned from Jeff Buckley, but it's originally from Leonard Cohen if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to show you what he does because I already tried it and I showed it to some of my students. And some of them transcribed it by themselves, but let me show you what he does. Well, he starts on the C major open chord as most of us know it. It's the 3rd fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the D, and 1st fret on the B string, while we also play the open G. And we might play the open E as well. But what he does is he starts on the 5th string, hammers on from the open D to the 2nd fret of the D, plays the open G to the 1st fret of the 2nd string and back to the G, and then with his middle finger he hammers on from the B note, the 2nd fret of the A, to the 3rd fret with the 3rd finger and back to the 2nd, and plays the open A string, while he keeps the 2nd fret on the D and the 1st fret on the B string, which becomes an A minor 7 chord. So after he comes back to the G, plays the 2nd fret again, goes up to the C again once more, hammers on the same way, plays the open G, and then hammers on from the 1st fret of the 2nd string to the 3rd, with the pinky finger on the 3rd fret from the C to the D, and then those little embellishments you know on the chord are very standard. Most players do them here and there. So, and then back to the, and then he plays the 2nd fret of the D string with his index finger because he wants to change positions. So the whole thing slowly sounds like this. Also, I forgot to mention, you can see my version of it in the link that I'm gonna upload somewhere here, but apart from that, Mateus plays in E flat. His guitar is tuned a semitone down. I'm playing in E standard tuning, so you know, there's also always the option you can down, if you're on a PC or a laptop or something, there's a cool little add-on that I use for Chrome or Mozilla. It's called Transpose, if I'm not mistaken. It's an extension and it allows you to transpose any video for about 1 semitone to as many as you want, up or down. So shift the pitch of a particular piece so that you can play with your standard tuning along to anything. Anyway, I'm gonna continue. Right after that, let's see what he does. He does that. As he comes back from this, he plays 3rd fret on the A and D string, while he does a grace note hammer on from the 3rd fret of the D to the 5th, back to the root C on the A string, and then he plays the, well, it's the A major shape on the over the C root note, or you can call it the 4th position of the C major chord, I don't know, but it's this. And then he slides in from the D to the E with the 3rd finger on the A string, 5th to 7th fret, plays the 2 or 3 notes of the C major chord on the, you know, the 5th fret of the D, G and B strings, and then back to the F chord, 2nd version triad, and he plays like the whole thing, then the bass, back to the next 2 notes, slides to a G, exact same fingering, 2 frets up, and then he plays the open A string and slides from the 5th to the 7th fret of the D note, and plays the 5th fret, which is a C on a G string, and then a little grace note slide from the 8th fret to the 7th fret, from the B flat to the A, pulling off to the 5th fret. So yeah. Then he plays an F major chord, 8th fret on the A string, 7th fret on the D string, 5th fret on the G string. So hammers on from the C on the 5th fret of the G to the 7th fret of the G, and slides to the 8th and back to the 7th and pulls off to the 5th, and then actually he hammers on, and this is you play the 5th fret on the D string with your index, you hammer on from the 5th to the 7th fret with your pinky on the G string, while at the same time you finger the 7th fret of the low E string, and those 3 notes is a G major spread triad on the first inversion. You know, I'll talk in a video about this. It's supposed to sound like this. This is the root position of the G major. This is the first inversion, second version, so on and so forth. Beautiful chords. You've heard them by tons of players like Mateus, you've heard them by Eric Johnson and many others. Well, what he does is he plays this chord like this, then which is like a double stop on the G sharp and the B with the open E 6th string. The whole thing is supposed to sound, and it is, an E major chord. This is the first inversion, the 3rd and the 5th, and this is the root note. And then he bends the 11th fret of the G string, the E, the F sharp, up to the G sharp, the 9th fret of the B string, and then up a semitone. So he bends the whole tone, the 12th fret of the G string, the 3rd string, plays the A on the 2nd string, and back to the bend we just did, adding some vibrato, so, and then slides back to the 7th, where he does this little embellishment once again. Let me listen to the rest of the parts. When he comes back to the 7th fret of the D string, the A note, and he hammers on from the 5th to the 7th with the addition of the open 5th string, the A, and then he plays a double stop, 5th fret of the D and G strings, hammers on to the 7th fret of the G, then back with a little hammer and pull off from the C to the D and back, and then he hammers on from the 5th to the 7th fret of the D string, from the G to the A. You can also slide here. Actually, he might be sliding, I'm not sure, so it sounds like this. And then he plays this beautiful chord. It's an F major, 2nd inversion, 8th fret on the 6th string, 8th fret on the B string, 7th fret on the G string. He plays the bass again, open G, back to the index finger, which is the 7th fret on the G, on the D, sorry, and then 8th fret on the B string with your pinky, and open A string. So this whole thing is supposed to be an F major with the addition of the 7th, the A, and the 9th. So it's a major 9th chord. Sorry. And then he plays the 7th fret on the D, the open G, and then he goes back to the A power chord. Plays the open A and the 2nd fret of the D, and then with his pinky he's playing an A minor triad on the first inversion, the 5th fret of the G, B and D strings. Remember that the dynamics are extremely important in this piece. I had about a day when I uploaded, so I didn't pay as much attention as I'm paying right now. After I first got the positions together, I just took the video, so I didn't jam the whole thing as many times as I should, probably, because I was in a hurry, because we live in the social media era, you know, and it's stupid. I'm trying to avoid it, but I'm not always able to take my time. Anyway, so let me listen to the next part. So he does, after he plays the A5, he plays the root again and triad, we said, back to the A, and then he does this little thing. It's an A, it's a double stop, you know, an A and the C, 7th fret of the D string and 5th fret on the G, and he slides those two notes up a tone and back. So let me listen to what he does after that. Okay, so he plays like a rake on the A minor triad. After that he comes back on the G string with the 3rd finger on the 7th fret, and he slides it up a semitone to the 8th, back to the 7th, pulling off to the 5th, up to the A note. You know, the whole thing is an A minor pentatonic in the first box. So and then goes back to the F, that beautiful F we played before, F major 9. Exactly same thing, so open G, 7th fret, the index finger, 8th fret on the B string with the pinky, to the open E, back to the C, and the index finger on the 7th goes back a slide, back a tone, down a tone, and then goes to a C major triad in the 2nd inversion from the 5th, 3rd fret on the E string, 3rd fret on the A string, hammered on with the index finger from the open D to the 2nd fret. So the whole thing until now should sound like this if we start from nowhere, from this maybe. So hammers on the C major chord. He plays the open G, bends a little bit with the index finger, pulling off to the open D. Let me confirm that. Yeah, what he does is, after that, when he pulls off to the D, he grabs with his thumb the 3rd fret on the E string, the lowest string, he plays the G, 3rd fret with the thumb, and open D and G, and then he slides really fast to the 10th fret of the G string with the 3rd finger, and hammers on from the 8th fret of the B string to the 10th, and comes back with the index and plays that F note on the 8th fret of the A string, which makes it an F major chord, root position, open or spread triad, however you want to call it. So as he comes back to this, up to that F, and let me check out what he does next. Yeah. And plays the whole chord, muting the rest of the strings. And then plays the 10th fret of the D string, and then bars the 10th fret of the G and B strings, which is an F major triad in the 2nd version, and then bends the 13th fret of the B string, and then up on the 10th and 12th fret, which is an A minor pentatonic, then hammers quickly from the 10th to the 11th fret and back, slides from the 10th fret to the 8th fret up to the 10th fret of the B, so and then hammers on and pulls off from the 8th to the 10th fret of the B string, slides back to the 5th fret of the B, and plays the 5th fret on the E string, high E string, and 7th fret on the G, bends that down, I think, back to the 7th fret, it's a semitone, back to the 5th fret of the G string, so the whole thing sounds like this. And plays the open A string. Let me confirm that. He plays a double stop sliding into this thing right here, which is a C and an E. So 10th fret on the D, 9th fret of the G, slides back to the 9th and 7th fret of those same strings, slide into those again, and slide back its own. So it's a 9, slide back to the 9 and 7, from the 9 and 7 back to the 7 and 5th frets of the D and G strings. And after that, he slides in from the 7th to from the 5th to the 7th fret of the A string to the 5th fret of the D string, sliding from the 7th to the 9th fret of the D string, slide the upper semitone and back, pull off to the 7th, so then he plays that beautiful F chord again. So after that little phrase, 8th fret on the A string, 8th on the A, 7th on the D, open G, back to the 7th on the D, 8th fret on the B, and open E. Okay, and then after that he plays the 7th fret on the D string, but he does like a little micro bend and release, sliding back to the 5th fret of the D string, and then with the 3rd finger sliding from the 7th to the 9th, while he grabs the C note on the 8th fret on the 6th string with his thumb. So what he does is, after he slides into the 9th, bends it up a semitone from the 9th fret, it should sound like the 10th, and back to the 9th, pulling off to the 7th fret of the G string, and then plays the G with his pinky on the A. Actually, I'm not sure, he might use the 3rd finger, and the G on the 8th fret on the 2nd string, so the octave. So and then a double stop with the 7th and 8th fret on the G and B strings respectively, and hammer it on a grace note hammered on with the 3rd finger on the G string from the 7th to the 9th. So and slides back to the 7th fret with the 3rd finger from the 9th, pulling off to the 5th. And he plays the intro once again, but this time he changes the embellishments just a little bit. So he does C, hammer on from the D to the E, open G, back, exactly the same as he did before, but then he plays the A minor, open A string, 2nd fret of the D, open G, and then hammers on from the 1st to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and back to the open G, and then 2nd and 3rd fret for the C. And when he comes back, he bends up a semitone and comes back like a micro bend, actually a semitone bend, and backwards to the open A minor 7. And then instead of going to the D string, he goes to the 3rd fret of the 6th string, the G, and plays the F, the 1st fret on the E string. Okay. And hammers on from the open G to the 2nd fret of the G, back to the G, and hammers on and pulls off on from the open D to the 1st fret, and then he plays as a major triad. So it's a major triad is the 3rd fret on the 6th string, 3rd on the B, 2nd on the D, but you don't strike it that hard, so the D string might not sound at all. And then he plays a little fill, like so. Slide in from the 5th to the 7th fret of the A string, then 5th fret on the D and 7th fret on the D, then play double stop, the 5th fret on the G and B strings, then with the ring finger in the middle we play the 7th and 6th frets of the 3rd and 2nd string, so sliding that as a tone up, upwards, back to the 7th and 6th fret, back to the 5th. So let me listen to this once more. So He does like a quick hammer-on from the 7th to the 7th, from the 5th to the 7th fret of the D string. Plays the double stop of the 5th fret again. Back, pull back from the 7th to the 5th and up to the 8th fret, the F on the A string. So I'll do it once more slowly. Sorry about the interruption, my SD card was full, so I had to shoot it once more. This is the final part. That was the lesson for today. I really hope you liked it. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, because in this way you're supporting this channel to grow bigger, and you're giving me motivation to carry on doing those kind of things, because as most of you know, those tutorial videos take up lots and lots of time from the creators that make them, so please make it worth. Also, in a few days, weeks, I'm not sure, I'm going to upload the Patreon page where I'll be uploading exclusive tutorial material each week in detail, and I think many of you are going to enjoy this. Stay tuned, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!